David. Again, my name's Doug Newell. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Support, but also, probably more importantly, get a great job, as soon as I get this thing clipped on, of working to go, how do we as a community come together to create some special places? David mentioned we're creating some special places for our kids, but we also have some partners here in the room with us. Kitsap Credit Union's here, the Kitsap Regional Libraries here that we've already partnered with. We'll be talking a little bit about our partnership with Johnson Length Orthodontics. Well, we're coming together because we care about our community. We want to create and leverage and create a gathering spot here in Central Kitsap, not just for what we're doing here, but also a regional event center. So we'll get going here, and I want to set this up to context. In front of you is a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to follow along with that. If you have any questions, please stop us. So we're talking about the Central Kitsap campus, and I'll show you a little bit more context here, but it truly is here in Silverdale. It's right up the hill. We started our first school up there almost 100 years ago in the early 1920s. We now own 60 acres. But who is Central Kitsap? Central Kitsap is nearly 70,000 residents, and we've been working together for 100 years to educate our kids. We also have created these great facilities that we can use for community purposes, and we truly endeavor to have our schools and our facilities used 7 days a week, all 52 weeks out of the year. Today we have 12 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, a secondary school, 2 high schools, and a K-12 community school. I'm going to talk primarily about the Central Kitsap campus, which is the home of the Central Kitsap Middle School and the Central Kitsap High School. The principals for both of those schools are here tonight. If you have specific questions about what's going on at the school level, we have their engagement and we can answer some questions. But we're going to talk about what we're building up there for our kids, and it's in the dialogue and what we presented as phase 1, because that's truly our mission, is about educating our kids. But then the opportunity is, how do we take that investment, how do we leverage that investment from the state and the community, partner with our community to go, how do we use this for everyone? You'll see this slide continuously through here. We're going to march through the goals and objectives, the scope. I'm going to show you some drawings of where we're at. We're going to talk about some economic benefit, and from that standpoint, we've got Mike Woods here. He's up on the CK campus. He's all things music today. We hope to leverage his excitement to grow that all things music into something bigger. And we also have Ashley Oaksmith, who is the director of the local Silverdale Library branch, and she's got big plans that far exceed her old building. We'll talk through budget timelines, financial support, and then we'll introduce our project management team. Leading our project management team is Robin Shoemaker. She's our Director of Capital Projects. She's been involved in a lot of public projects here across the county. So what is our objective? Our objective is to create a year-round destination for education, for athletics, for music, for events. And turning what we had was about 7 or 8 parcels up on the hill into an integrated campus that we can layer and do all of these things 7 o'clock to 3 o'clock for the students, participating with our partners from athletics and music events that are school-based during the school year, Monday through Friday, to having events on Saturdays and Sundays, to having big things happening through the summer, to the library being able to leverage the fact that no longer are they stuck in a 4,000 square foot building built in 1980, to the fact that they've got about 12,000 square feet, but they've got access to another 10,000 square feet immediately, and then they've got access to 300,000 square feet up the hill. And then think about, what can we do from the standpoint of, all right, is it a small event, a mid-sized event, or a big event? Yes. All of those can occur up here, and the public has made some big investments. And really what we're asking about is, our focus as a school district is we have a fiduciary responsibility to our community and to the state of Washington to invest those dollars to support K-12 education. We do not have the authority to invest those dollars into supporting direct community benefit. We have the ability, though, and almost the mandate to use our facilities and open them up. And so what we're looking at is there's some specific investments that can allow us to leverage those tremendous investments there for all of us to use. So what is this? And I'm going to spend most of my time on what I say is phase 2, but phase 1 is really about that educational focus. We are very fortunate to have strong community support here for our schools. We've had it for a long time. The current high school, I think we have a couple of CK high school graduates here in the room, was built in the early 1940s and added on in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. In 2016, we voted as a community to replace Central Kitsap High School and Central Kitsap Middle School. And with that new high school and middle school also becomes a performing arts center. We'll show you some pictures of that. And a new athletic complex. And this is a complex that we haven't had as a community before. We have not been able to host tournaments. We have not really been able to host much of anything on the CK campus since maybe the 80s. We now have 3 big gymnasiums, 7 locker rooms. And if you think about hosting types of events, that always seems to be constrained. And then all of our fields outside and our outdoor athletic facilities are all weather, and they're lit. So that allows us to use them 365 days a year. We do not get in situations where we're locked out. So phase 2 was, all right, how do we take this investment and do more? And the first group that we partnered with is in the back is Kitsap Credit Union. We knew we were building this new field up here. We reserved a spot for grandstands. We don't really have a mandate from the public to go build grandstands. But with generous partnership from Kitsap Credit Union, we now have the grandstands built. Walking and running trails, we had some informal walking and running trails set up, but we didn't have the trail markers. We didn't have all that done. So we've partnered with a generous contribution from Johnson Link Orthodontics to work through that and to help us in that spot. Phase 2B, what else? We have an existing building that we'll talk a lot about that we wanted to reuse. We wanted to reuse it because the community owns it. We didn't want to tear it down because we thought there was life left. And we engaged Jill Jean and her team at Kitsap Regional Library and partnered there. This third phase is what we're talking about for PFD investment, is partnering with you to add some athletic support facilities that really open up our campus for athletic events for both our local community, but also the regional community, leveraging the fact of our investments over at the Fairgrounds and our high school there at Olympic High School, and also out at Klahowya. We now have bought and installed 8 brand new all-weather athletic playing surfaces in Central Kitsap, here from Klahowya, a couple miles west of here, to up on the hill to over at Olympic High School, and we'll show you some pictures of those. And then I want to talk about this outdoor venue that's going to combine with the music folks to go, all right, it's not about our kids, it's about music in the community, and how do we reuse that? The high school's going to be done here shortly. Scott McDaniel's principal of the middle school, his middle school's done. He's going to start school in the new middle school on April 8th. Gail and Craig Johnson back there are the co-principals up at CK High. Their high school's done in June. We'll have all the parking lots finished in August and we start up there. We've started design and construction on most of these other pieces. We're well under the way. But I want to take a step back because Mike mentioned this and I've heard this comment before. I wanted to show some picture of some history. This drawing is from 1976. This drawing, if you recognize it, is the Fairgrounds on the right-hand side and a potential high school on the left-hand side. And this was the local community, the county, and supporters of the school district getting together to go, what can we do to build athletic complexes in our county? We had federal dollars coming. And so what happened initially is we built out softball and baseball diamonds. You guys should probably recognize this configuration. It looks a lot like what you guys helped with in the past. We built out tennis courts in this area, and our football field didn't end up over here. If you've been over on that campus, it's actually on this hillside. So what happened In the 70s, we worked together to build the baseball and softball fields. In 1983, the county and the school district partnered 50-50 to build the tennis courts. A lot of maintenance happened in between, but then in the early 2000s, Public Facility District made investments in that. And you did a great job of putting underfield drainage and making those new lights in there and putting up new fencing. And then recently, we've come back in as a school district to improve those tennis courts and put in synthetic turf fields. So this is a picture of it today. And I want to kind of walk you through what's going on over, oh goodness, come on, baby.
Go by. It's in there somewhere.
No, didn't work. There we go. This is a shot from about 3 weeks ago. What you're seeing here is we're coming over Lobby 1. Lobby 4 is on your right. And we have put new synthetic all-weather playing surfaces on Lobby 3, set up as softball, and Lobby 2. We put in new outfield foul line posts. We redid the dugouts. And as you can see from this view, we put in a variety of sizes of soccer fields. Tracyton Soccer is using the heck out of these things because they're no longer closed in the winter. They've been being used every weekend. In addition to that, we are making investments to connect this. We did not have an ADA path. In fact, all we had was some grass, but there's a new ADA path coming up from the high school, up to this baseball complex, over to the tennis courts. There really was just a dirt trail from the parking lot down to the tennis courts. There'll be now a new ADA path that goes all the way past the tennis courts and connects up with the sidewalks that the county owns.
Great.
Show this not as an example, what we're asking for today, but as an example of how the county and the school district and the public facility district have continued to layer investments to make improvements for our public. So what's going on at Central Kitsap today? Just to kind of take a look at this, this is CK Middle School. This part of the building is complete, and we'll be opening school there. Scott's like sweating it. I saw Scott McDaniel, our principal, earlier. I go, you ready? He goes, I will be. The high school's here on the left. In front of you is Huey Field. This is brand new, synthetic turf, new lights, new tennis courts. This is Cougar Field in the background. This is the grandstands. We'll show you that. And there's baseball, tennis courts in the background. So let's see if I can get this going. So we're directly over the campus today. If you recognize that, that's the new hospital. We're currently in this building. This is the Silverdale Hotel. Here's Dyes Inlet. And I think all of us know Mount Rainier. This is the old high school. This is Huey Field. And give a reference point of where we're at in the construction of this. We're going to drop down into the high school entryway to kind of give you an idea of what we have for facilities. This is our new Performing Arts Center. This is our new gymnasium for the high school. We have a big commons, and if you can see the glass there, you can actually see through it. We're now sitting over the top of the middle of one of our auxiliary gyms. Here's the new field. The underlayment for the track is in. Here's the grandstands. We'll be getting your sign up shortly. It's on order. Here's our new baseball field. The underfield drainage is in. The lights are in. The synthetic turf will be going in as soon as it gets dry enough to roll it out. These are tennis courts, 8 tennis courts with lights. Those are available for public use today. And one thing I want to point out is you can see a bunch of zigzags and trails. Our entire campus is ADA accessible. We have parking through the entire campus, and you can move from one level, even though we have 150 feet of elevation change, to the other. Now back over the top of the baseball field. So we will have the ability to play baseball games all weather over at the fairgrounds at Lobie Fields, but also up here. We put a new underfield drainage also out at Klahowya, so we've really improved the playability to ability to hold tournaments. Again, here's a shot of Cougar Field, the new grandstands that we put in, switchbacks to get you from this entry plaza up to the baseball level. And this asphalt, we'll come back to this in a second. We designed that as a future location for support facilities. We're set and ready to go to teach kids up here on the hill. What we wanted to do like I said, partner with a variety of groups to say, hey, how can we use it more? We'll come back to our designs for that. We're flying over to the old middle school. This will be a parking lot and softball field by September. We're going to flip around and go down to the lower campus. And it's really about the opportunities. And we've been thinking as a community, both internally but also with the library and others, about how do we better use that. So now we're over the top of the old high school. Those are the Olympics out to the west. That's Huey Field again. This beautiful old building, whose a lot of memories in, will be coming down this fall. And that creates an opportunity to do something for the community down here. We do not need this space to educate kids. As we rotate, this is what we call the 900 wing. This 900 wing is going to be the future home of the Silverdale Library, our administrative spaces, but also in the back there's the opportunity to create a cultural zone. The next slide, couple slides, you're going to see a westerly view of this building with this dirt gone. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that area looks like and how we can use that in the future. So let's go into project scope. And I apologize for all the small words in here, and if you got questions, let me go. I tried to layer this in and try to figure out how this would work, but athletic complex and facility improvements, grandstands, walking, running trails, fully funded, phase 2A. We're proposing that we get some additional funding to further open up the use of that athletic facility. Kind of conceptually, the athletic facility alone is about a $20 million investment to build all those fields and locker rooms. And we would like to get some restrooms and other support facilities for the general public. Down here on the lower campus, Silverdale Library and District Administrative Fund, we've got a plan, and we'll show you in the back if you're interested. We've got our MOA with them. And then we're talking about creating a cultural zone and adding parking to be able to support this operations. So realistically, there's two pieces of this that are proposing for PFD funding. Some support to further open up our athletic complex, and then taking advantage of a building that already exists to update it on the cheap to create a home for a whole lot of activities and a platform to hold large major events. This is a slide from last time, and it's really about further improve access to the CK campus for our community. So what does this look like? I'm going to start on the lower campus. And there's a whole lot of boxes on here, and for those of you in the back, I apologize, you might not be able to see all of this. But we flew the drone over. This area that I'm circling here, this is the site of the existing high school. This parking lot already exists. This is the 900 building that exists that we're proposing to leave. And so what we're looking at doing is opening up a plaza, creating some outdoor spaces, renovating the existing music rooms in the back, and leveraging that combination to be able to hold a whole lot of cool things. We also believe we need more parking, so there's a small component in here to add parking stalls in this general area. And at the end, this becomes the community gathering spot. It becomes the front porch for the CK campus. It becomes where we come in, and then you can connect to walking trails, and there's a 1.5 mile walking trail around here. And then we'll talk about how our connections are, how we want to get the campus connected to the rest of Silverdale. Recognize this, we just had this picture. What you don't recognize is this. This is a west elevation. All you can see today is basically this part of the building. We're going to pull up across the hillside and then get this view is from this direction, create a plaza to allow you to see the entire building. So library on the lower level, administrative offices up on the upper level, those are currently over here in the Jenny Wright complex. As we pull off of that, we have plans to enable that to be reused by the community. We're looking at how do we improve that and save that and get that focused and work with the Port of Silverdale, but that's a different discussion. What we're really talking about is how do we reuse the back of the building. Currently, today, there's music rooms and practice rooms and all kinds of places back there that we don't need to teach kids, but we believe strongly could be renovated at fairly low cost, and then the library and the school district can support operations both during the day in the evenings and on weekends. So what does that back end of the building look like? This, what you'll see on the next three sides, is the 3 floors to that part of the area. This is the plaza. On the lower level, we'll have the Silverdale Library. This back of house, there's some existing restrooms in this area that can support outdoor events. The slope of this facility is that this is about the level of the high school. It naturally slopes down. As we demolish the high school, we're going to create this basin. And we're looking for the money for the hardscape to come back in and just terrace it and put in some sidewalks and some seating areas, that now that becomes a stage area with this whole music and performance complex sitting behind it. If you go up on the second level, this is our existing band room. This is where this gentleman here hangs out with his kids today. He convinced us to build him a new one, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it's still a good facility. We just like to get this updated. But this could be a practice facility for community members during the week. It could be a meeting facility. It could be used by the library. These are practice rooms in the back. Just think about your kid banging the drums. Hey, no, don't do that in my house. Go up to this new building of ours. On the second floor, we'll have our offices. Then up on the third floor, there's an existing choir room. And so it's really this back end when we talk about improvements to the cultural zone and updating that, and then combining it with an outdoor gathering spot that becomes, at one level, a place for our local community. But when you combine it with the rest of what we have on the campus, it becomes a platform for large events. Other place we're looking at investing, I showed you, this is a planned view of what we're doing. This is Cougar Field. This is our new baseball field. Here are the 8 tennis courts that we put in. This building is existing. It's the existing middle school gym. We're going to put $4.5 million into that building to renovate it. And that'll be the center of outdoor activities, because there's 2 changing rooms in here and 11,000 square foot court. This is our new softball field. We have not had a decent softball field in a long time. But all of this is all lit and all weather. What we're looking to do is add some specific athletic facilities in that area. Back to the drone view, you saw this a second ago. Here's the grandstands that we have just recently put in. The access to the grandstands. There's ADA parking here to the left. And underneath this asphalt is actually all the plumbing and services needed to drop a building in. And what we're looking at doing is buying a prefab, poured concrete building that you would find outside and dropping it in and plugging it together. Here's another view of what that would look like. This is the actual elevations. Our major parking area is down here to the left by that middle school gym. There will be a stairs for those folks that like to get their heart going. And then there'll be the leisurely path up the hill. We'll have ADA parking on this level for access into it. And we're looking at 2 buildings to be able to support a concessions ADA restroom building and then a general restroom building that would act here in the center courtyard, and they would support both track and field activities, but also our baseball activities. Down at the lower level, we have bathrooms to support anything happening at the softball field. So what does this look like? These, believe it or not, are poured and come in modular. They'd be plugged together. There's several examples of this in the Kitsap County parks today and various locations. Pretty much indestructible. Can get them painted orange because some team in the room likes orange. And you can see the smiles. If we painted them green, they'd be upset. But pretty much standard off the shelf, out of a catalog. These are available on government contract. If we pulled the trigger today, this would be installed by September.
Well, if you paint them orange, maybe you can make the doors green.
Here's a floor plan of what we're looking at. Nothing exciting about an outdoor restroom. Just wanted to show that we do have the plans and the costs and hard estimates, or hard costing actually, not even estimates, from the provider. Yes, sir.
These are modern unisex single bathrooms, each one?
No. So in this instance, what we show here is a women's with a variety of stalls and 1 ADA in the back.
Oh, I see.
On the men's, we have a couple of urinals and some bathrooms. We do have one unisex here, or family restroom, but then the building right next to it, and I don't have the floor plan of it, would be a concession stand with 4 more of those types of facilities. Basically ADA, family, you name it, you go in there. And so we do have to provide that opportunity because you just never know who's going to need something.
Sounds good.
So events and community usage. I talked to quite a few people as we're trying to work this together. How do you get to a hard number? We haven't advanced that far to go. It's $2,338,000 and 20 whatever. Didn't get to that point from that standpoint. What I want to do is talk more, not the quantitative, but the qualitative benefits that can occur, both here as a local community, but also as a regional draw. And there's 2 parts of this. One is the regional this is just a cut and paste out of our proposal we submitted. But I wanted to point out, I don't know how many of you have kids, but I have one. She's a senior in high school. She's at the wrong high school. She's up at North. But the boss didn't hire me until my kid had already signed on to go to North Kitsap High School. But I can't tell you how many weekends I've been on a ferry going west or going over the bridge because I'm going to a tournament. My daughter's in choir. Where do I go? I leave the county. I leave the county every weekend, just about, because we do not have the ability to host those types of events here in Kitsap County. We can't host tournaments outside, historically. I suggest to you now that we do. Between Gordon Field and what we have at Lobe Field and the brand new field at Silverdale Stadium over at the Fairgrounds campus, we have 4 all-weather fields over at the Fairgrounds. We put in 4 new all-weather fields on the CK campus, and we have a new all-weather field out at Klahaya. We are set up to hold some major athletic events here and keep our residents home. I know I don't like sitting in the ferry line on the weekends. So I suggested there's 2 pieces. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the performing arts because we have both Mike and Ashley here. I'm going to briefly go over the slides on the athletic going forward. I pointed out before that we have the ability to reuse this music complex down here. And this is not needed by the school. This would be a home to a whole lot of local community music groups. Here's the outdoor amphitheater. But I wanted to point out in our new building, we have a new choir room and a new band room for the high school. We have a new band room and a new choir room for the middle school. And we have a new performing arts center. And that performing arts center has 900 seats, an orchestra pit, full stage, full fly-loft. And so the ability here now on this campus, where we're planning to have over 700 parking spots, to be able to hold multi-layered events across the entire campus is really unparalleled. I don't think there's any place in the Puget Sound area that's going to have this capacity to be able to host events. So, Mike, if I could ask you to share a couple of thoughts you have.
Yeah. So, Doug asked me to come up with, like, how would we use these spaces? And I gave him a list that was pretty extensive. Then I thought for today it'd be good to just whittle it down to a couple of different ideas. So, High School Jazz Festival, if any of you are from the Paulsbo community, there's a Viking Jazz Fest up in Paulsbo every year. And it's a great facility, and it's a great space. We have, with the CK School District, we now have the ability to host something like that, but on a much bigger scale. We have a larger theater at CK. Olympic High School also has a theater. Klahaya's theater is now actually a theater instead of a classroom during the day. And then if we throw in the rehearsal space at the new campus here, that gives us 4 venues to work with a lot of venues, a lot of schools. The end result is one of the big events that high school jazz bands can do is we drive all the way to Moscow, Idaho for a jazz festival that at the end of the day fills up the Kibbe Dome. And we go to Moscow, Idaho because it's the only place you can go now. We don't have a space as big as the Kibbe Dome, but we have so many performance venues that instead of all the schools on the I-5 corridor driving over to Moscow, they might just jump on a ferry and come to Silverdale. The second type of event that I put there is a summer music concert series. think about the Olympic Music Festival, but having it in Silverdale. In the Kitsap County area, the outdoor concert venues are somewhat limited with the building for green room space for music groups to come in. They have a spot where they can warm up. There's a place to play, and it's really close to the rest of Silverdale community. So people that come in for a concert then stick around. They do some shopping. They hit Costco. They go someplace and get something for dinner. And then finally, every year, music teachers get together, and we have a conference either in Yakima or Spokane or Portland, which we were just in Portland a couple weeks ago. And the challenge for us and educator conference types of events is that you have to have a place you can go that has multiple big room venues. And now Silverdale has the high schools, but we also will have the rehearsal spaces at this new campus. And then on the next page, just kind of gives you an example of the types of events that we're talking about with a little bit more detail about how many people we're talking about coming into the community. And I put on there as current examples of things, especially for the summer concert series. You know, I grew up on the east side of the state, just outside of Wenatchee, and one of the highlights of the summer was you could go and see a concert every couple weeks in their Riverfront Park. They have outdoor concerts. We'll be able to do that here in Silverdale with this space. Yeah. Any questions about that?
And so, Ashley, if you want to come up, one little piece in here, and Mike didn't really mention it, is that there are a lot of local music organizations. The Kitsap Philharmonic, for instance, that Mike helps lead, is a children's orchestra. And they don't really have a home. The Bremerton Chorale, the Bremerton Symphony, they're playing in basements of churches. And what we have the opportunity here as a community is to say, no, do that here in this facility. This can be your permanent home. We can give you a small office. You can bring your music equipment in here, but you have a proper place to perform. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that activity could be hosted there, especially because downstairs is going to be Ashley with her library, and we're hoping to get a coffee shop in there. And so the thought of music people and librarians working together, I'll turn that over to Ashley.
I think we can make that work, especially.
That's the best-looking microphone stand I've seen in some time.
Oh, well, thank you. So I'd like to share a few ways how the library can help bring the community onto this campus, and I'll provide a little bit of context. You all have probably been to the Silverdale Library. It's about 4,000 square feet, 12 parking spaces, and we have 10,000 visitors to the library every month. Every month. And I can prove that. I have all of that data. Average of 10,000 every month for 12 parking spaces. So clearly people value the library. We passed a levy less than 2 years ago. People value the library. They're willing to go there even if there isn't parking and they have to park on the street, and even if we have a crowded library. So that tells me a lot, and we'll be able to bring 10,000 plus people every month up to this campus north of where we are right now, and be able to provide the same services and more that we can't provide in our 4,000 square foot library with a meeting room that holds 25 people. So you think where we are and how the library is still serving the community, what could we potentially do in this new space with more parking, with more space for books and for people to use the actual library space, but also much more meeting space and a variety of different venues. So I'll get back to my slide here after that. And so some of the events that we are doing now, if anyone's heard of our One Book, One Community event, we host national authors and hold book discussions and invite people from all of the different library branches across the county to engage in a discussion on one book. And we just had our large event for this year, and we had about 200 people at the Olympic College Theater coming in. We had the author fly in from New York. Sometimes we do local authors as well. But to engage 200 people in an event, and wouldn't that be great to hold one of those events in Silverdale and to have that space and to have the venue. Some of the other things we've done recently, regional library meetings. We held the Northwest Innovative Users Group meeting, which includes representatives from 14 library systems from Washington and British Columbia, and they were at our Village Green library location. We have that there. Wouldn't it be great to have one of those types of meetings at Silverdale, because now we would have facilities to be able to host that. Some of the other things that we have going on, right now at the Silverdale Library, we're hosting programs every summer such as gonzango dancing and flamingo dancing and percussion and didgeridoo music and a lot of cultural events that we're doing, and we're getting incredible attendance for those events, but we often have to use other sites, which is fantastic around Silverdale, but it'd be nice to have some of those near the library within walking space and to have a great campus like this, because people are interested in those types of programs. One of the things that we do almost every summer, and which isn't on the slide, is we do a family STEM night, and we encourage local experts on topics. For example, they're to come and talk to the families and talk to the kids and engage in STEM activities with them. So there's a local couple here in Silverdale who travels all around the world. They're retired, and they travel and record dolphin sounds. So we encourage them to come, and then we're able to do experiments with the kids and the families. So also engaging our community to then teach others is something that we focus on doing. And then just a couple other things. What can we do in that amphitheater space? Family movie nights and activities, and getting people to enjoy the beautiful weather when we have it in the summer in that space, and to have parking to be able to do that. Our summer reading program brings in, we have 7,000 participants. We did in 2018, and 1,000 of those were in Silverdale. So they came to the Silverdale Library to participate in our summer learning program. So to be able to have maybe a launch or a festival around that located on this campus would be great.
So a bunch of random things that kind of demonstrate that we can get to critical mass on this campus. And it's not just about that big event once a summer. It's not just about Tuesday night. It's not just about one conference. It's the ability to do a whole variety of things and bring people together that we think is a unique opportunity. Do want to show you, again, this stuff's real. This is a picture here just a couple of weeks ago of our new Performing Arts Center. And it's really about creating a home for musicians and artists, etc., on this campus, that then this becomes a focal point. Oh, you get to warm up, you get to practice, and then you get to use this fantastic facility. Briefly on athletics, and certainly answer any questions. This is just a layout of where our gymnasiums are and our 7 locker rooms are located. We talked about the fact that we have 2 football fields, 2 tracks, both of them all weather, both lit, baseball field, softball field, and 8 tennis courts. And I won't go into all the details here, but these are all things that, again, do not happen here in Silverdale today, that we are already focusing on it at the high school community to bring here. But then layering that on about, hey, what are the bigger events we can bring in from outside the region because of this hosting ability on the CK Event Center, but the fact that we're just a couple of minutes away from the fairgrounds, we're just a couple of minutes away from Klahowya to be able to expand dramatically. And then the last thing I have here highlighted here is, what about a marathon? Can you think? We're going to have over 700 parking spots up here in all kinds of places, start, finish, and run out to Seebeck and come back. What are those kind of things that we expect to be able to do as a community? And there's groups talking to us already about all of these. Mike didn't mention it, but we've already got people calling out and going, hey, we heard you have lots. All right, can we host our next event there? And we want to say yes. Other connections, here's the YMCA today. This dashed line represents a trail. The county's actually requested funding to build this. We have got preliminary design complete. We're working on our easements, but we expect to have this finalized conceptually here within a couple of months and hopefully built this fall. So that you'll be able to come out of the Y, run up to the campus, and then run entirely around our campus. The next step is how do we connect our campus here today with Old Town? And we're working on that one. So, at the end of it, community benefits, you asked to it. We truly believe this could be a cultural home for our community. It will be a unique space because there will be music performance spaces and a library and the ability to scale up by leveraging the high school and middle school. And so this can become a home. And once you do that, what else does that generate? What are the other connections within our community? And then, as I meant, we've talked several times, our CK campus is going to have more facilities than any other place in the county. We've gone from probably the worst, Gail and Craig, and Steve, to the best. Budget and timelines, I won't go into the numbers, but effectively there's a lower campus component here and then an athletic complex campus. The actual prefab buildings are about $500,000. And then we included the soft costs and other things to get up to this $800,000. We might be able to do it for a few pennies left, but that's order of magnitude, about $800,000 for the athletic complex. We can pull this at any time. You saw the asphalt was there. All of the utilities are in the ground. It's when do we have funding to go forward. On the lower campus, the library and the school district are already in design, and we're designing our component. And so adding on additional features, even if they go in as alternates, so that when we go open bids and hey, there's an alternate to refurbish the music rooms. All right, well, what is it? There's an alternate to build the amphitheater. And then we come back and say, well, we opened the bids and it's $200,000 for this or $100,000 for that. We can execute that at that time. There's more details in the back, the last couple sheets, and then if anybody's interested. We asked about timelines. Phase 1, which is our focus on our students. Design of the high school started in 16 when we voted. We voted in February. We started in April. Design completed here summer of 17, and construction is off to the races. Tennis courts, Cougar Field, Huey Field are open. Middle school starts shortly. High school right behind it. Overall finish for our campus right now, we're looking at December of 21, because that includes what's here on the second page, which is design of the lower campus is underway. We expect to start construction here at the end of this year or the first part of 2020. Design of athletic complex improvements are effectively done for the building standpoint. We just need to do a little bit of civil work to figure out, all right, if the utilities are in the ground, do they need to move left or right to match up with the building? And then we can move out in construction. We'd like to see the athletic complex improvements open this fall. And then when we open the new admin center and our Silverdale library would be the time when the rest of the building could be complete. Ideally, we have a contractor mobilized and we're just adding on renovation of a couple more rooms. Financial support, where is the money coming from? The Central Kitsap community, again, tremendous support. And I didn't fix that, sorry, that's a typo. That should be 144. We got state construction assistance money. That's what paid the lion's share of what you see up there. What we're talking about is adding local support to leverage that investment. Where else did we get money? We have a partnership with Kitsap Regional Library. We have a partnership with Kitsap Credit Union, Johnson Link Orthodontics, and the next phase would be for you to join us in this adventure. Some pictures of our signing agreements. Those are the agreements themselves. Links to those were included in our presentation. Talk about project management, facility management, operations. Phase 1, Central Kitsap School District working with Integris Architects and Skanska. Skanska is an amazing contractor up there. Second phase is Central Kitsap working with KRL and Rice Fergus Miller. We haven't picked a general contractor yet. That'll come at the end of the year. Our project management team, I know Mike knows Robin. Robin's had a lot of experience here. Sydney, Sydney's a CK High grad that wandered to the wrong coast, got a bunch of advanced degrees. We poached her out of Boston Public Library, where she was renovated Boston Public Library, but she's back home now rebuilding her school. And then Mark Vale. Mark is a long-term Navy guy that failed retirement and decided to join us and help us. Hank here's laughing because Hank hired him many years ago. But I just want to let you know we have engineers, architects on our team, organic, working for the school district. our projects finish on budget, on time. How do we handle maintenance going forward? We're going to maintain the campus of Central Kitsap School District. We have a partnership with KRL to maintain their spaces. Operations is going to be a combination of the library being able to hand out keys and check people in and out of rooms, but also with our community schools. We have a robust system to be able to reserve spaces and facilities. We're about ready to take that online through our website, but by the time we're finished here, this will be something that you'll just go in and make a request online. And just finish this. Looking at replacing this and leveraging this great investment up here with, again, this is our campus map here in Old Town and the mall. And just to give you an idea of the magnitude, it's almost the size of the mall. We've got money, we're going, we think this meets your goals, and I'm open to questions.
Pretty much answered everything for me.
Okay.
You knew that. It's my job. Parking stalls for the area on the lower campus. How many
Yes.
stalls do you expect for that
So we have
section?
100 down there today, and we'd like to add 40 to 50 additional, so for a total of about 145 to 150 parking stalls, 12. We want to get up to the point where that is not a constraint that people want to come to our campus and be able to attend events.
Do you have an idea on seating for the amphitheater?
Yeah, we're targeting about 300, and if you go through the math, you're supposed to have one parking spot for four attendees, but we think about 300. That'll allow us to also be able to use the library. We don't want to get in a situation where we have to shut down one part of the operations. Don't want to shut down the library to have something outside. But we do think that because the school district is basically a 7 to 3:30 operation, the library's focus is like 12 to 8, and on weekends, the joint use, we're going to deconflict on that parking lot.
Yeah, I know all about parking and ratios and what we don't need, so I'm with you on that one, absolutely. At one point in the portion you gave us a couple of weeks ago, you said you plan on engaging a consulting firm to quantify anticipated economic benefits. Is that still an idea to do, or?
Yes, and I've been reaching out to a variety of folks here in the community to go, all right, well, who are the folks that do that? Robin and I have a pretty extensive list of folks. If we got a civil engineering problem or electrical engineering problem or construction management, truthfully, Aaron, it's been a little bit harder to figure out how do you actually quantify that.
But we don't have. It's tough.
Yeah, because you got to identify some variables and how do you count those. I saw that the earlier group had at least some examples of other places, but that is something we're still looking to explore to get something that I can go, yep, it's $1 million or it's $5 million, and I'm not just making it up.
Yeah. I think that's my questions.
Yep.
Pat, any questions from you?
I really don't.
Rick, any questions from you?
No, I think this is wonderful.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, thank you for presenting. And do we have a sign-up list already signed up, or is there anybody who would like to make public comment?
There was one additional, Renee.
I think we maybe have some others who would also like to go ahead and come on up here and sign your name, and that way we can have a record of who is speaking. I'd like to just remind you again of the 3-minute limit. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Renee Overath, and I'm a member of the Central Kitsap Community Council. And on behalf of the Central Kitsap Community Council, I would like to wholeheartedly endorse this proposal. It is the realization of multiple use of public facilities. You can see that the collaborative approach and the layered funding have resulted in a terrific facility for our community. One of the outstanding pieces of this particular proposal is the ongoing operations. Anybody can do capital building, but how do you keep that stuff going? after you build it. And this is just done in spades. It's really, really well thought out. It's a great proposal. Especially the robust scheduling, like through the community schools program. I happen to have worked in the community education program here for 20 years, from 1986 to 2006. And I know how many requests we got from the community and from outside sources to use our facilities. Much of the time, we did not meet their needs. This certainly will meet their needs. And so I really suggest that you look at the number. I think the number is extremely conservative, and the result of so many partners make this just a great idea for our community. So thank you for considering it.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leah Olson, and I am the Vice President of I'm going to give myself a job promotion here. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Kitsap Credit Union. We are a not-for-profit financial cooperative that's been serving the community here since 1934, when we got our very humble start at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. Our credit union is mission-driven, and our mission goes beyond just providing financial services for personal and business use, but our mission is really to help with community prosperity. And when we heard that the Central Kitsap School District was going to be improving the quality of life for students and families in the Central Kitsap area, we got really excited about it, and we wanted to be a part of what was happening there. So early on in the process, we met with Doug and David, and gosh, how many others did we meet with? And we're very excited to be warmly received into the dialogue about what was happening there. And so what we decided to do is to not only invest our people, but to invest financial resources to help improve the quality of life for local working families here in our community. And then as we heard the story unfold and got to boots on the ground, walk around that campus, we really got excited about the potential for not only local working families to see what's happening there and to be a part of it, but also to realize what could happen when we invite others and other communities to come to us. I know one of the things that I did as a high schooler, I'm from the local area, all of our vocal competitions were out of town. We had to travel quite a ways, and it got me excited about thinking about having the annual vocal competitions right here in our backyard. And so the opportunity to attract top quality multi-sport athletic competitions, first-class music and drama, an unlimited number of large and small events here, that all enhances the economic viability of our communities, and we get excited about that as well, because our mission is to create community prosperity, not only through quality of life issues, but also with an economic impact. So from Kitsap Credit Union to the board, we strongly encourage you to consider funding for this initiative. We know you have a difficult job ahead because there are lots of great projects. We saw one earlier. But truly, this is a way to not only improve quality of life for the local working families here, but also to make a strong economic impact by the families that can be brought into this area to visit for all of the different things that you heard your speakers talk about today. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I guess unless there's any other questions, I just want to thank you for your time.
I have
Oh.
some comments that I wanted to make.
Although I won't be voting for any of these projects, since I've been involved with the 3 projects that we have for the last 10 years and various improvements on those projects, and now we're evaluating larger projects and newer ones. It's nice to see a mix of funding from partners, from investors, from the community that is likely to lead to a better success than asking the PFD to pay 100% of the costs. the more partners, the more participation, the more likely it is that it's going to work. The second thing is that the PFD and the board will be looking to invest in eventually 2 or 3 projects rather than putting all of their money into one project. So again, it increases the chances of success when you have partnerships, and our component can be perhaps the keystone or the final part that will make it happen. And I think that's a good opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate your time, Darren.
I was just going to say, Doug and team, thank you for presenting. Any closing comment that you'd like to make?
I said we're extremely excited. We're opening soon. I'd love to get you up there if you have time. A drone's kind of cool, but it's more impressive, like Leah mentioned, when you take a tour. And get a sunny day, drop me a note. I love going for a walk. So I'd love to get you up there on the campus and see what we have today and talk about what it's going to be in the future. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.